the Raft of Courage. They said the river was impossible to cross. They said no one could survive its wild waters. But on the night the storm came, the old man named Jonah knew that courage wasn't about crossing rivers, it was about crossing fear. The river town. In the heart of America, in a small rural town surrounded by endless wheat fields, old barns, and tall oak trees, flowed the Maple River. The river was wide, wild, and unpredictable. Its waters could be calm as glass one day and roaring like thunder the next. The townspeople respected it deeply. Children were warned, never cross the Maple River, not without a bridge, not without help. But in that same town lived an old man named Jonah Lark, who had a heart bigger than his courage and a curiosity bigger than both. Jonah loved the river. He loved the sound of it, the mist that rose in the mornings, and the memories of the old stories his parents and grandfather told when he was young. Long ago, Grandpa would say, folks built rafts to cross Maple River, but only those with steady hearts made it. Jonah always dreamed of becoming one of those people, but he was old, quiet, and often anxious. Not the kind of others expected to be brave. The storm that broke the town. One summer evening, dark clouds crawled over the horizon. The wind picked up, bending trees and rattling windows. A storm was coming, the worst in 40 years. Rain crashed down, lightning split the sky. Thunder rolled like boulders. By morning, when the storm finally ended, the town gathered at the Maple River Bridge, or what was left of it. The bridge was gone, torn away like paper. The river raged, swollen and fast, carrying tree branches and debris. But the worst news came from the other side of the river. Mrs. Alvarez and her 2 young children were stranded in their farmhouse, cut off from town, with no electricity, no food, and rising water in the lower fields. The sheriff shouted above the wind, "No boat can get through this current." A farmer yelled, "We can't rebuild the bridge in time." People panicked. No one had a way to reach the family. Jonah stood quietly in the crowd, heart thudding. He remembered the stories of his grandpa's old rafts. Stories of people who didn't wait for the river to calm, they simply learned to respect it and move with it. The raft. Jonah ran home, grabbed rope, planks, and every tool he could carry. In the backyard shed, soaked with rain and fear, he worked. He tied logs like his grandpa had shown him. He tested knots 3 times. He whispered to himself, "I'm not doing this because I'm not scared. I'm doing this because someone needs me." By afternoon, Jonah dragged a handmade raft to the riverbank. The townspeople stared at him. "Jonah, don't be foolish. That river'll sweep you away. You're old and weak." Jonah looked up, shaking but determined. "Maybe, but I know how to build a raft. And Mrs. Alvarez needs help." The sheriff stepped forward. "If you're going, sir, I'm going with you." Jonah swallowed his fear. "No, this raft is small and light. It's safer alone. I'll go with the river, not fight it." The crowd went silent. Even the river seemed to listen. The crossing. Jonah pushed the raft onto the water. The current grabbed it immediately, spinning it like a leaf. He dug his pole into the riverbed, guiding the raft sideways, not forward. Just like he learned from the stories, respect the river's direction, and it will take you where you need to go. Water splashed his face, his hands blistered. The raft rattled under his feet. But Jonah didn't quit. He watched the current, listened to its rhythm, and let it guide him. Little by little, foot by foot, he drifted closer to the other side. When he finally reached the Alvarez farmhouse, the children ran out crying with relief. Jonah pulled them onto the raft, tied them securely, and pushed off for the journey back. The return trip was harder. The current fought him. Waves crashed. His arms felt like fire. But when the river tried to pull them under, Jonah whispered, "No, not today." And with one final push of courage, the raft slid onto the town's shore. The crowd erupted. People ran forward, lifting the children, hugging Mrs. Alvarez, cheering Jonah's name. Jonah collapsed into the mud, exhausted, shaking, but smiling. He had crossed more than a river. He had crossed the fear inside himself and most of the people in the village. The hero nobody expected. That evening, the townspeople gathered around Jonah. The sheriff put a hand on his shoulder. "You've done what no one else dared today. You showed us that courage isn't loud, it's steady." Mrs. Alvarez hugged him tightly. "You brought my family home. I'll never forget this." She wiped tears from her eyes. "I always knew you had a brave heart, sir. You just needed a river to show it." And from that day on, people in Maplebrook didn't talk about the storm. They talked about the man who built a raft when the whole town needed hope. They called it the Raft of Courage, and the name stayed for generations. Moral of the story: courage doesn't mean being fearless. It means stepping forward even when fear tells you to stay back. Great bravery often comes from ordinary people in extraordinary moments.